Listen to this. You're not tired from working too much. You're exhausted because something invisible is draining your progress. You feel like you're running on a treadmill that won't move. You sweat, you pray, and you give it your all. But when you look back, you're in the same place as last year. Stay with me because today you're going to identify exactly what's blocking your blessings and how to break that cycle of stagnation right now. It's not bad luck. It's a spiritual battle you're about to win. Have you ever saved hard, only to have an unexpected expense come along and wipe it all out? It's frustrating. You feel like you're building a loving relationship, and it crumbles without warning. You try to move forward, but you hit walls you can't see. As a person of faith, I can tell you I felt that wall, and I know it's not something physical. It's an obstacle that only heavenly truth can tear down for you. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. Engrave this in your spirit. What seemed like an endless cycle of loss, today receives a stop order from above. Right now. My spiritual restoration begins today. You look at the calendar and feel afraid. Another year gone, and the promises you hold in your heart seem to slumber in silence. You see others soaring while you feel like you're just struggling to stay afloat. It's as if a thief has broken into your house. But there's no trace, no one to point the finger at, because this thief operates in the invisible realm of your daily life. But here's the key that no one tells you. Recognizing the stagnation is a sign that your just surviving season is over. What follows isn't theory. It's a practical guide to reclaiming your peace and progress. Your greatest benefit from hearing this today is to stop blaming yourself. It's not that you're not trying hard enough. It's that you were fighting the wrong battle. Today you receive the clarity to understand that your progress isn't lost. It was just held back, and the key to unlocking it lies in the truth we are revealing together. If, while listening to these words, you feel a heaviness in your spirit, or if your heart beats at a different frequency, pay close attention. You are not here by chance. You didn't click on this video due to a simple algorithm error. There is a celestial orchestration at this very moment because your season of loss has reached its end. A spiritual decree has been issued against that which was robbing you of your peace. Today we are unveiling one of the most impactful truths in Scripture, one that defies human logic and the laws of time. The world tells you that time gone is gone forever. They tell you that you can recover a resource, but never the lost years. But the God we serve is not bound by the clock. He is the beginning and the end. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. Right in faith, God restores my lost years. It moves me to understand that for the divine, there is no too late. Sometimes we feel guilty for the time we wasted or that was taken from us. But the message for you today is that your reality is about to be transformed by a higher decree. Scripture reveals an amazing promise in Joel 2, verse 25. I will restore to you the years the locusts have eaten. Think about this for a moment. It doesn't just say it will give you something new. It says it will restore the value of the years that seem destroyed by life's plagues, bad choices, or unexpected crises. How is it possible for time to be given back to us? Stay a little longer, because what we're about to discover about how this restoration manifests in your daily life will leave you speechless. It's not magic. It's divine justice in action for your benefit. Listen, your greatest benefit at this point is a release from anxiety about the past. The world punishes you for lost time, but the heavenly message offers you a restitution of years. This means that divine acceleration can enable you to accomplish in 1 month what took you a decade. Your peace today comes from knowing that God is the master time, and He is working in your favor. Pay close attention to this detail that most people overlook. God didn't just tell you He would give you new blessings. He went much further. He said, I will restore the years. Stop for a moment and think about the depth of this mystery. How can you recover a decade that illness stole from you? How do you recover the years that vanished in a relationship that only left you empty? Perhaps you feel like the best opportunities pass you by while you battle depression or anxiety. The world tells you that's all in the past, but the heavenly secret lies in what biblical restoration truly means. Right now, I activate divine acceleration in my life. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. In the heavenly design, restoration is not just giving you back what you had. It's applying the law of acceleration. Sometimes I put myself in your shoes and understand that frustration of feeling like others are decades ahead of you. But as a person of faith, I assure you that when divine intervention occurs, such perfect synchronicity of resources and people is created that you accomplish in months what takes others 10 years. You're not racing against the clock. You're walking in time with grace. But for this to happen, we must first identify what has been diminishing your harvest. Scripture mentions different types of locusts: the consuming one, the crawling one, the destroying one. In the ancient world, a swarm of these creatures could descend upon a field and, in a matter of minutes, devour the fruits of years of sweat and hard work. Do you know what those locusts represent in your life today? They aren't insects. They're invisible patterns that feed on your peace and progress. Stay tuned, because if you don't identify what kind of locust has been in your field, you'll keep working toward a void that can never be filled. What we're about to reveal will give you the strategy to protect what's yours. Today, I tell you, your benefit today is understanding that your setback is not permanent. No matter how much ground you feel you've lost compared to others, divine acceleration is capable of placing you in front in record time. Your peace today should be born from the certainty that God not only erases your past, but also multiplies your future to compensate for every tear and every effort that seemed lost. It's terrifying to imagine a field teeming with life that, in just a few hours, is left completely bare and deserted. Perhaps that's how you've been feeling lately. Maybe you've been facing what we call the swarm, that overwhelming onslaught where everything seems to go wrong at once. Your car breaks down, your family's health falters, and your job security is threatened. It's a swarm of problems designed with a single objective: to deplete your mental and spiritual resilience. Or perhaps, in your case, it's something more subtle but just as dangerous: the crawling locust. This one makes no noise. It's that slow erosion of your peace, the gradual cooling in your relationship, or that silent decline of your passion for life. You don't notice it immediately, but day after day, it feeds on your joy until it leaves you empty. Right now, with authority, no plague will touch my dwelling. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. It doesn't matter if the damage was from a sudden attack or slow decay. The promise of restoration covers both scenarios. Sometimes, when talking to people going through this, I notice that what hurts the most is the consuming spirit. That feeling that appears right when you're at the finish line. Has this ever happened to you? You're about to make a breakthrough. You feel like you're finally going to achieve it, and suddenly, it disappears. As a person of faith, I tell you that this isn't bad luck. It's an interference that we're going to learn to stop today. I include myself in this reflection with you because I know what it's like to see an opportunity vanish before your eyes. But this is where the picture changes completely. God doesn't just observe these locusts. He names them, and by naming them, he strips them of their power of anonymity. If you can identify what's been consuming your progress, you are just one step away from seeing heavenly justice order the restitution of what was stolen. Did you know there's a specific reason these locusts have gained access to your field? Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal is the key to closing the door for good and unlocking supply that's been withheld. Your benefit today is not just understanding the problem, but receiving the strategy for victory. I'm pausing here briefly because, as you know, maintaining this connection space requires a lot of energy and dedication. If you feel today's message is resonating with you and you'd like to honor the value you received, you can buy me a symbolic coffee through my Ko-Fi. It's a beautiful way to balance giving and receiving voluntarily, and it allows me to continue sharing these messages with you freely. I've left a direct link in the first pinned comment, and also here below in the video description. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your presence and support. Namaste. Your greatest benefit right now is identification. You're no longer fighting shadows. By naming what's happening to you, whether an overwhelming attack or a slow erosion, you regain control. Today, your peace begins to be restored because you understand that you're not a victim of circumstances, but someone being prepared for a restitution that will leave all the pain of the past behind. There's something you need to understand today. What you have suffered has not gone unnoticed by God. These attackers who have tried to stop you have only served to validate your journey before heavenly justice. God is telling you right now, I saw it. I saw when the swarm surrounded you, And I saw when a consumer tried to steal your harvest before you could enjoy it. The answer you receive today is not just a word of comfort or sympathy. It is a verdict of restitution. The adversary thought that by stealing your time, they could nullify your purpose. They believed that if they kept you trapped in a cycle of struggle for 10 years, you'd end up too exhausted, too broken, or feeling too old to fulfill your mission. Right now, my destiny has no expiration date. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. Whoever tried to stop you forgot a fundamental detail: who your Father is. As someone who trusts in these truths, I am amazed to remember that heaven doesn't need decades to change a story. They forgot that God can transform a young shepherd into a king. They forgot that someone like Joseph, who lost the best years of his youth in a dungeon for something he didn't do, could see his life transformed in a single divine 24-hour period. I share this hope with you. If he did it for Joseph, turning him from prisoner to prime minister in a day, what can he do for you? Consider the life of Joseph. Humanly speaking, his years were wasted. The hatred of his brothers and the injustice of imprisonment seemed to have consumed his future. But in God's timeline, those years were not a waste. They were a preparation for an acceleration that the world cannot explain. Do you feel trapped in your own dungeon today? Perhaps it's not a physical prison, but a financial, emotional, or health-related one. But get ready, because what we're about to discuss regarding God's 24-hour window will give you the perspective you need to understand that your release is closer than you think. Your benefit today is renewed faith that lost time is not wasted time. Your benefit in this part of the message is to regain a kingdom perspective. The enemy uses a clock to cause you anxiety, but God uses time to mature your character. Today you can rest in the peace of knowing that your age, your past mistakes, or the years of delay are no obstacles for the Almighty. Your destiny remains intact, and the speed at which you will be propelled will compensate for every second of waiting. From a human perspective, Joseph's life seemed over. The locusts of betrayal and slavery had devoured his best years, his youth, and his dreams. But listen carefully. When the thunder of heavenly restoration knocks at your door, you don't just receive freedom. God didn't just bring Joseph out of prison. He gave him authority over the very nation that had enslaved him. The restoration transformed the pit of his despair into the training ground for his palace. And this is exactly what is about to happen to you. Don't think you're just going to catch up with others. Heaven's plan is for you to take control of areas where you were once enslaved. Right now, with faith, my pit was my training ground for the palace. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. But to activate this power, you must make a drastic change today. Stop looking at the locusts and start looking at the restorer. You cannot see a new harvest sprout if your eyes are fixed on the dead stalks of the past. Look at the rain that is falling. As a person of faith, I want to reveal something to you that will change your prayer life today. There is a law of sevenfold restitution. Proverbs 6 verse 31 is clear. If a thief is caught, he must pay back 7 times as much. The Holy Spirit has just exposed a thief in your life. He has shown where your progress was devoured. Now, as a child of heaven, don't just ask for comfort. Demand your restitution. I invite you to do an exercise of faith with me right now. Visualize for a second the areas where you feel robbed. Your finances, your health, the peace in your family. Don't look at them with pain. See them as a place where the return of sevenfold abundance is about to manifest. Do you know why the enemy trembles when you start visualizing this? Because when you stop complaining about what's lost and start claiming the sevenfold return, divine acceleration becomes unstoppable. Stay tuned, because what we're about to see about receiving the spiritual reward will change your reality before this video ends. Your benefit today is a change of identity. You cease to be the victim of theft and become the creditor of a heavenly debt. Understanding that the enemy now owes you 7 times what he stole, your anguish transforms into expectation. No matter how empty your field may seem today, the rain of restoration brings with it a harvest so abundant that you will forget the years of drought. Close your physical eyes for a moment and open the eyes of your spirit. Visualize a rain cloud laden with blessing forming directly above those fields you see empty today. It is not a passing drizzle. It is a latter rain, the one that brings with it a supernatural abundance that the world cannot explain. Remember the story of Job. The Bible is clear in saying that the Lord blessed his last days far more than his beginning. Job didn't just get back what he had. He received double. Listen carefully to this. God doesn't just repair what's broken. He upgrades it. You don't need a simple patch in your life. You need a complete heavenly upgrade in your peace, your health, and your purpose. Right now, I receive my heavenly upgrade. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. And for this to manifest, I want you to take a stand of authority right now. In your spirit, draw a firm line in the sand. Behind that line are the locusts, the delay, and the stagnation. In front of that line begins your season of overflowing. As someone who walks in faith, I want to tell you something that will change your perspective on your problems. Thieves never break into empty houses. If you've been attacked so fiercely, it's because you carry something of immense value within you. The magnitude of the battle you faced only indicates the magnitude of the blessing that is about to be released. I include myself in this truth with you. If the enemy tried to push you to the limit, it's because he recognized in you someone capable of impacting thousands with his testimony. The adversary tried to weaken your body because he knows your health will be an instrument of well-being for others. He tried to pressure your finances because he knows you have a generous heart for the kingdom. But today, that game is over. Are you ready for practical strategy that will activate this restoration starting tomorrow? This isn't a ritual, but a 7-day spiritual discipline that will completely change your atmosphere. Stay tuned, because what I'm going to ask you to do before you even touch your phone when you wake up is the key to making Joel 2 verse 25 your daily reality. Your greatest benefit today is understanding that your worth hasn't diminished because of the attacks you've suffered. On the contrary, the intensity of your journey confirms the magnitude of your purpose. By drawing that spiritual line, you strip the past of its power to define your future. Today, you cease to be the one who lost everything and become the one who is being renewed by divine intervention. Prepare yourself, for your end will be far more glorious than your beginning. Before the noise of the world invades your mind, before you check your phone or let the day's news dictate your mood, I want you to say these words with authority. Father, I thank you because today is my day of restoration. It's not just a wish, it's a spiritual command. Reclaim every second of peace and every resource the enemy tried to steal from you. Command those years to return. Declare firmly, I am not a victim of my circumstances. I am a victor by divine design. As you do this, you will notice something immediate. Your spirit will shift frequency. Now, right, today I walk as a victor, not as a victim. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. When you stop vibrating in despair and begin vibrating at the frequency of faith, doors that have been sealed for decades suddenly open without the need for human keys. As a person of faith who has been through the deepest valleys, I can tell you that trust changes everything. It's walking with the certainty of someone who knows that provision has already been sent, even though their physical eyes haven't yet seen it. I share this feeling with you because I know what it's like to wait for an answer that seems to be taking a long time. But today I feel very strongly that there is someone listening who is on the verge of giving up. I sense in my spirit that you have given up on a particular dream. Perhaps you thought, it's too late for me, or I missed my chance. But listen carefully. In the kingdom, there is no too late when the master time decides to intervene. Do you know what happens when someone who felt defeated regains their sense of responsibility? The whole world mobilizes. Stay a little longer, because what I'm about to reveal about how dead opportunities come back to life will give you the strength you need to hold on to your promise right now, when you're so close. Your benefit on this part of the journey is a shift in mindset. Despair drains your energy, but faith multiplies it. By starting your day declaring restoration, you are reprogramming your spiritual reality to attract solutions instead of problems. Today, you reclaim the dignity of knowing that you are not begging for a miracle, but claiming an inheritance that already belongs to you. I clearly sense that someone is listening who has left a dream gathering dust on a shelf. Perhaps it was that business that didn't take off, a ministry that stalled, or a marriage you considered dead. Your mind whispers, it's been too long. The train has left the station. But today, the voice from above gives you a direct instruction. Go back for it. The world is obsessed with youth, but heaven is obsessed with faithfulness. Remember Moses. His true mission began at 80. Look at Caleb. He reclaimed his mountain and vanquished giants at 85. And Sarah, defying all biological logic, embraced her promise at 90. She boldly writes, "My promise lives on regardless of time." God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. The locusts may have eaten the pages of your calendar, but I assure you of this: they could not touch the seed of promise that God planted in your spirit. As a person of faith, I've learned that the years that seemed lost actually returned transformed into something far more valuable: wisdom and instant favor. What once took years of effort, you will now achieve through a simple divine connection. I share this expectation with you because I know that the waiting time wasn't wasted. It was a period in which your character was forged of steel. Prepare yourself, because you're going to enter rooms for which, according to your resume or your past, you don't qualify. But God's favor doesn't ask permission from human logic. He will open doors that have no physical lock, only spiritual ones. Are you ready to see how favors compensate for lack of time? What follows will show you how the stars are aligning people you don't even know to hand you the keys to your next level. Don't back down, because we're entering the activation phase of your greatest victory. Your greatest benefit today is freedom from the pressure of the clock. Understanding that figures like Moses and Sarah reached their full potential at stages when the world considered them finished will dissipate your anxiety. Today you receive the strength to finally bring that forgotten dream down from the shelf. Your benefit is knowing that the maturity you've gained through waiting will allow you to successfully handle the blessing that is about to arrive. Listen to this. You're going to sit in places of honor where others will say you don't belong. You might apply for positions or a project that require degrees or certifications you don't have on paper, but heaven is going to grant you wisdom that surpasses any formal education. This is how the heavens restore your years, by giving you immediate access to what took others a lifetime of study. There's a flow of spiritual abundance opening up over you right now. Scripture in Isaiah 43 verse 19 challenges your perception. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? The key is not whether God will do it, but whether you are able to perceive it. Right now with conviction, I perceive and receive my time of new things. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. But to step into the new, you must stop obsessing over debt. Stop replaying that negative medical report in your mind. Start looking at the small cloud rising on the horizon, because it's a harbinger of your great reign. As someone who walks with you on this journey, today I dare to declare something about your life. The next 12 months will be nothing like the last 12 years of stagnation. I include myself in this declaration, because I know that when the cycle of almost enough breaks, what follows is an overflow that you cannot contain with human strength alone. The destructive cycle of taking from one to pay another, that financial and emotional agony of living on the edge, ends today. You'll no longer be trying to survive the day. You'll be managing provisions for a new season. Are you wondering how this change will look in your daily life? Stay tuned, because we're about to get to the most practical part of this message, where you'll understand how restoration translates into tangible results and real solutions. Your benefit today is the certainty that the pattern of scarcity has been reversed. Your greatest benefit at this stage of your journey is the renewal of your vision. By shifting your focus on the world's expectations to the promise of heaven, your stress levels decrease and your spiritual creativity is activated. Today you receive the ability to see opportunities where you once saw only walls. Your benefit is a piece of knowing that your future is not dictated by what you lack, but by what God is about to create from nothing. That exhausting cycle of taking from one to pay another is finally broken. You're not just turning the page, you're entering a season I call the something more level. It's not just about having enough to cover your bills. It's about having that and something more. It's not just about regaining some health. It's about having vitality for yourself and something extra to help your loved ones. You need to understand how the spiritual world works. The enemy always operates by seeking legal rights. He uses your past mistakes or doubts as permission to hold you back. But here's the news that will change your perspective today. Heavenly authority has already annulled any legal document against you. Write down with conviction, the enemy no longer has any right over my life. I'm pausing here briefly because As you know, maintaining this connection space requires a lot of energy and dedication. If you feel today's message is resonating with you and you'd like to honor the value you received, you can buy me a symbolic coffee through my Ko-Fi. It's a beautiful way to balance giving and receiving voluntarily, and it allows me to continue sharing these messages with you freely. I've left a direct link in the first pinned comment, and also here below in the video description. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your presence and support. Namaste. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. If stagnation continues to steal your peace, it is doing so illegally. The time for compromise is over. As a person of faith, I want to remind you of something vital. In the name that is above every name, you have spiritual power of attorney. This means you have the legal authority from heaven to issue a cease and desist order against any attack that is draining your joy. I include myself in this declaration with you because I know that when we exercise this authority, the atmosphere in our home changes completely. You no longer ask permission to be blessed. You exercise the right that has already been granted to you. Imagine this. Tonight, before you close your eyes, you're going to speak directly to that situation that's been robbing you of sleep. You're not going to speak to it with fear, but with the voice of someone who knows they have the backing of the highest heavenly court. Do you know what happens when the enemy realizes you finally uncovered their legal scheme? Panic shifts sides. Stay tuned, because in the next part we're going to declare the exact words that will make the thief release what belongs to you. Your benefit today is to move from a defensive to a victorious spiritual offensive. Your greatest benefit today is spiritual legal security. You no longer have to live with the guilt of deserving the bad things that happened to you. By understanding that the enemy's legal right has been revoked, you reclaim your dignity and strength. Your benefit is a peace of mind that comes from knowing that the laws of heaven are working in your favor, so that nothing and no one can withhold what God has already decreed for you. It's time to use your voice. Declare firmly, you are trespassing on my property, and the time for tolerance is over. Tell that negativity, get out of my finances, get out of my children's minds. Heavenly authority draws a line of protection today that nothing dark can cross. You must understand that true restoration doesn't come from exhausting effort, but requires a sacred element, rest. Psalm 127 reveals a secret to peace. He gives sleep to those he loves. Think about the difference. When you worry, you're trying to fix things on your own with your limited strength. But when you rest, you're demonstrating your complete trust that God is in absolute control. Now, right in faith, I release my burden and receive God's rest. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. But that restoration is not manifested in the chaos of sleeplessness, but in the serenity of trust. As a person of faith, I confess that the most difficult step is not praying, but resting after praying. I include myself in this learning process with you. Close your eyes knowing that, while you sleep, the Creator of the universe is moving things in your favor. It is not a passive wait. It is a victorious one. Imagine that while you are regaining your physical strength, there is intense activity in the heavenly courts. You don't need to be awake to watch over your blessing. The guardian of your life never sleeps or slumbers. Do you know exactly what's happening in the spiritual realm while you choose to rest tonight? Stay, because what I'm about to reveal about the nighttime operation of restoration will give you the deepest peace you've felt in years. Your benefit today is the end of spiritual fatigue. Your greatest benefit at this point is the restoration of your emotional health. Worry is a silent thief that ages the body, but resting in faith rejuvenates your spirit. By choosing to trust today, you allow God to work without the interference of your anxiety. Your benefit is waking up tomorrow with renewed mental clarity, ready to see the solutions you couldn't see today because of your weariness. While you rest, there is an unseen operation at work. The angels are gathering the spoils that belong to you. Listen to what Job 20 verse 15 says. He swallowed riches, but he will vomit them up. God will bring them out of his belly. The enemy has swallowed your years, your peace, and your well-being. But today he has been given an order of expulsion. He must let it go right now. The pressure of your faith is making the adversary feel besieged. He can no longer withhold what is yours because your confidence has created an atmosphere where he cannot survive. Receive this word as your ultimate turning point. The locusts are dead, and your harvest has arrived. Right now with authority, I claim my sevenfold restoration. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. But for this to manifest, you must break free from passivity. Faith is not just waiting. It is entering into agreement with heaven's decree. As someone who has seen the impossible become reality, I ask you to join me in this moment of prayer. This is not an ordinary prayer. It is an act of spiritual governance. I include myself in this cry with you. Father, in the name that is above every name, I present each person who hears. You know the nights of tears and the pain the locusts left on their table. But today we remember that you are the God of abundance. I decree right now, with the authority conferred upon us, that the devouring spirit is rebuked from your life. The time when your efforts were wasted is over. What is coming is not a drop of comfort, but a torrent of restoration that will flood the parched areas of your life. Can you feel the atmosphere in your room beginning to shift as we come together? Stay tuned, because in the next few minutes we're going to seal this prayer with a declaration of victory so powerful that nothing will be able to stop your progress tomorrow morning. Your benefit today is complete liberation from the oppression of the past. Your greatest benefit today is a cessation of the inner struggle. By understanding that God himself is the one who compels the enemy to vomit what he stole from you, you stop fighting in your own strength and begin to receive by grace. Your benefit is a peace of knowing that you don't have to chase your blessing. It will find you because heaven has pronounced a verdict in your favor. Today, your faith becomes a magnet that attracts what was lost. Today we speak with direct authority against everything that has tried to hold you back, against the swarming locust, the silent crawling locust, and the locust that consumes your efforts. We command them to stop right now under the fire of heavenly justice. I invoke the highest protection over your finances, the vitality of your body, and the peace of your family. This is not a request. It is a decree of freedom. Lord, release the angels of restoration this instant. Let them travel through time, enter your past, and reclaim every blessing that was taken from you through deception or neglect. But not only that, let them go forward into your future and prepare the way for an acceleration that the world cannot comprehend. Right with absolute faith, my angels are reclaiming what is mine. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew, and that restoration manifests itself with signs you can see and touch. My sincere prayer for you is that tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, you will feel renewed hope, but also that you will receive a tangible sign. I want you to experience something real that confirms the atmosphere in your home has changed. I include myself in this plea because I know that when God restores, he doesn't do it halfway. He gives proof of his faithfulness. I also ask that you receive the wisdom necessary to manage the surplus that is coming. The blessing will not come to overwhelm you or cause you to lose yourself in it, but rather to make you a channel of provision for others. You are being prepared to handle far more than you ever imagined. Are you ready to receive that tangible sign we've been asking for tomorrow? What we'll see in the next part about how to keep this door of blessing permanently open is vital, so you don't fall back into the cycle of scarcity. Your benefit today is to move from prayer to manifestation. Your greatest benefit right now is the assurance that you are not alone in this battle. Knowing that there is a heavenly task force recovering what you lost in the past lifts the weight of guilt and regret. Today, your benefit is joyful expectation. You stop waiting for bad news and start looking for signs of God's favor in every detail of your day. Acknowledge it right now. You serve the God of abundance, not the God of scarcity. Therefore, under this heavenly design, I decree that the spirit of the devourer is completely nullified in your life. I speak directly to that locust that has been swarming in your thoughts and secretly consuming your resources. Its time is over. We invoke unwavering protection over your finances, your health, and your family tree. Lord, give the command now for the angels of restoration to mobilize. Let them go back in your timeline to rescue the blessings that were stolen from you in years of ignorance or pain. Right now, heaven reclaims my past and blesses my future. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. It's not just about recovering what was lost yesterday, but about sending an advance guard into your future, so that the path is ready for your divine acceleration. As a person of faith, I am awestruck by the power of the divine to prepare the way. Sometimes we worry about what's to come, but today I know for certain that there's a heavenly force working in advance. I share this confidence with you. If God is preparing your future, no human obstacle or economic crisis can stop what He has already written for you. Imagine that every obstacle that awaited you next month is being removed this very instant. Doors that were locked are now being opened by invisible hands, so that you can simply walk through them. Can you visualize the speed at which you'll begin to move from this moment forward? Stay until the very end, because what we're about to declare to seal this message will be the definitive seal that prevents the locust from returning to your field. Your benefit today is the certainty of a clear path and a guaranteed victory. Your greatest benefit at this stage is the elimination of friction in your life. As the angels of restoration prepare your future, things that once required superhuman effort begin to flow naturally. Today you receive the benefit of the heavenly advantage. You no longer walk alone. You walk with a path already prepared for your success and peace. My final plea is this, that tomorrow at the first light of dawn, you awaken with a hope you cannot explain, and with a tangible sign that the pieces have begun to move. I don't ask for just a feeling. I ask for real evidence that things have changed in the unseen realm and are manifesting in the natural world. I pray that you receive the wisdom to manage the surplus that is coming. May this blessing not be a burden, but rather may you become a channel of provision for others. God says, the biblical truth about restoring what seemed lost begins anew. And today, that restoration is a reality in your life. Write to seal it. It is done. My years have returned. We thank you, Lord, for every hardship and every tear. You return to us double. As a person of faith who walks beside you, I assure you that this is the end of your drought. I include myself in this thanksgiving with you, for I know that what we have sealed today in faith is irreversible. The time of the locust is over. The time of the overflowing is now. If this video has resonated with your soul or brought you clarity today, I invite you to close this circle of gratitude. I've left a link to my Ko-Fi in the description and pinned comment. If you feel moved to support my journey and creation of this content, your seed of abundance is welcome and deeply appreciated. Thank you for helping me continue to expand this light. If this message has transformed your perspective, don't forget to subscribe to continue walking in this light. Share this video with 3 people who need to reclaim their lost years and like it as an act of faith. Your path of acceleration has just begun. Your ultimate benefit today is absolute peace. You have gone from struggle to victory, from theft to restitution. From this moment forward, your greatest advantage is knowing that time is no longer your enemy, but your ally under divine favor. As you close this video, take with you the certainty that your story has been rewritten. What the world called loss, the heavenly now calls training for your glory. Rest for your restoration is already reality.